is going to look moving forward, because I got to lay down some fundamental pieces that take you away from what you're used to doing and get you to focus on some new habits and some new processes that should yield you more production and take you away from doing the busyness that your time audit, that your time audit provided. So
you bet.
So on my screen right now is essentially what I'm going to start building with you over the next several weeks. Okay. What do you see on the computer screen?
Nothing, because I logged off completely.
Oh, you logged off completely. Okay.
Yeah. So let me. Oh, come on. It's not giving me anything. God dang it.
Oh. Don't sweat it.
So what's on the screen?
So what's on the screen is a picture of a referral tree. The bottom of it is a big blank that says it starts with you, that has room underneath that you can put somebody's name. On top of the tree, as you go up the branches, there's 5 or 7 different spots where it just has blanks where you can fill in, but the backdrop is a big tree.
Right.
The power of this tool is really what I want you to start focusing on, either mentally or physically, when you sit down with your clients, because this visual piece of information is going to be paramount in not only training you on what to say and how to say it, but visually capturing the client's attention with it, because there's nobody else that does it this way. Nobody.
Oh, good.
Okay. The whole point in you shifting your business from being you, yourself, and Margot to being a Lake State Success Mortgage Partners affiliate is so that you can spend more time doing the things that you know you're much better at, but that you get a lot more enjoyment and a lot more satisfaction and a lot more reward out of. So what we're going to focus on today is focusing on our ability to get current client referrals. With the setup that you have now, there shouldn't be any reason why you don't have an additional 15 to 20 hours a week available to you that you didn't have before.
Exactly.
Okay. So now how do we fill that spot? I'm going to fill it with one component. You can fill it with a variety of other things that you want to go ahead and go do more prospecting, do Thor's Hammer, do all this other stuff. I'm only going to focus on one component of it, and that is helping you capture more business out of your current pipeline. Okay?
Perfect.
And today we're going to start with really the foundational piece with the foundational piece, which is let's make sure our clients understand from the moment that they decide that they're going to work with us that this is how you do business and this is your ultimate goal. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm sure in your initial dialogues with your clients, you're going to tell them that your business is relational. So I'd be curious to hear what you say to your clients upon the initial consultation, whether it's over the phone or if it's face-to-face. Tell me what you typically say to people as it relates to how your business is built.
Okay. Thanks very much for John and Sue for sitting down with me today. I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to meet with me. As you know, I got your name from Doug Cataray, and he is a very, very good client of mine. Not only have I done transactions for him, but he has referred his friends and family, and he is also a very, very good friend of mine. So because he's referred you, I spend a good lot of my time making sure that you're very, very well taken care of, because I want to preserve the relationship that I have with Doug. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take just a couple minutes and explain how I actually work. Would that be okay?
Perfect. Perfect. So with that right there, that moment is when you could take this picture, if you don't have your computer screen up, but you might.
Yep, I see it. It just came up.
Okay.
Yep.
So what I would do in that particular scenario is I would go, so here's how I work. I would grab this picture and I'd pull it out, and I would write at the bottom of it, I would write Doug Cataray's name, and I would turn it around and I would slide it over to them. And then in that box, the first one above it would have them write their name in it. And then what I would do is I would show them, I'd say, I want you to understand something. You guys, and if Doug had referred you many people, I would have all those names written in that sheet of paper. at least enough of them to show that you have established a relationship with Doug to the point where he's referred you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
okay,
even
I
if
see
it's
it. So
just,
they're seeing that they're part of a group.
you've effectively painted a picture to this borrower that you are living proof of what you say. So it builds credibility, it establishes trust, and now when you tell them that Doug's relationship with me is paramount, and so by making that statement, every conversation that I've ever had with anybody that's on this tree has always been focusing solely on their wants, their goals, and their needs, because at the end of the day, if I can't help you, then it doesn't make any sense for me to take you down a path that I can't help you win at, because what I'm essentially doing is cutting the tree off at its base, because the relationship between you and I will fail, and the relationship between you and Doug will fail, and then eventually the relationship between Doug and I fails, and that's not how I want to grow my business. As you can see, this tree is an example of how well of a job I do. Now the cool part is that each one of these names that are on this list is essentially yet another tree. And I'm only seeking one thing in this initial consultation, and that is for you to understand that whatever it is that you want and believe you need, my job is to represent you in a way that helps you understand what the truth and the realities are, be able to outline what you're about to go through, and to do my best to help manage your fears and expectations. Because at the end of the day, I am going to get compensated by doing your loan. But the bigger point in this is my passion is getting people like yourself to feel confident enough in wanting to refer me.
Oh, nice.
Okay? So here's the reason that this conversation is so vital. The reason that we have this conversation in the very beginning is twofold. One is because it essentially allows the people that you're sitting in front of to understand that you're not like everybody else. That statement with 100% certainty differentiates you from anybody else that they talk to for a loan. Would you agree with that?
I agree, 100%.
Okay, there's nobody that's going to sell it to them any better than that. Nobody. Okay?
Yep.
The other part of it is that you're laying the foundation and the framework so that as they go through the mortgage process, from the time that they meet with you until the time that they close, whether that's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 12 weeks, they understand that when they agree to do business with you, there's an agreed relationship on their side of the table just as it is on yours, meaning there are things that are going to be required of them just like they're going to require things from you. And so one of the requirements is, by doing and agreeing to do business with you, is that can I count on, and I say the word count on because that's a very powerful psychological statement, can I count on, or can you promise me, or can you commit to me that as we go through this process that you will advocate my business if I earn it? If I'm able to deliver everything that you've asked for and everything that you need, and I was able to take you through this process as best as possible, can I count on you? Can you commit to me that you will become another tree of mine and advocate me to somebody that you know, like, or trust? Because that's how I'm able to dedicate my time and energy to helping you.
Oh, are you recording this?
Of course.
Oh, good. I can't write fast enough.
I don't want you to write, Margot. That's why I record
and absorb it. So good. Now I can quit the handwriting and
quit the handwriting. I want you to just kind of listen along.
Because that's what I want to do. I want to absorb all this, but then what'll happen is, you know, a day down the road, I'm trying to pull it together, and I can't remember those perfect turns of phrases that you come up with until I
get it.
Get them ingrained.
I get it. Nope, I'm with you. So the reason why this is so meaningful at the initial consultation, again, is A, it differentiates you, deepens the relationship, builds credibility and trust. But the other part of it is really how powerful it becomes as the process unfolds. Because as they sit in a pre-qualified status or pre-approved status, you are going to be making constant communication and contact with them once a week, just to touch base.
You bet.
The reason that this part of the process is so vital is that your calls can either be very transactional or they can be very relational. For somebody that doesn't enter into an agreement with this referral tree concept being described to them, everything that you say around asking for a referral is going to feel very, very, it's going to feel awkward to them. It's going to feel very manipulated.
Right,
because
like I'm trying to get something out of them. Yep.
Because they didn't agree to it in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have this agreement in the beginning, your calls on Tuesday or on Friday or on Monday can be centered around more of the relational and less of the transactional. And what I mean by that is you can pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them what their plans are for the weekend. That's an easy conversation to have. The problem is that when you have those conversations, you're not really building a relationship with them. So there's no depth to it. So the reason you're calling them is to honestly just give them an update and ask them what's going on in their life. But the other part of it is that there should be a purpose to the call. And the purpose to the call should be to position the conversation to where you can ask them or remind them that that's how your business works. So let me give you a little example. So my traditional calls would have been, hey, Margot, how are you feeling today? How's everything going? Husband's doing good? Got plans for the weekend? Are you going to be working on the farm? That's awesome. Chit-chat with them a little bit. Hey, listen, just wanted to call to give you a quick little update. The market's still the same. Nothing new and exciting out there. How's the house hunt? You know, have you been looking at a lot of homes? How's the, you know, are you guys planning on seeing some homes this weekend? So on and so forth. That's the very simple part of the conversation.
Correct.
The next part is there anything I can do for you today? Now, we both know that most people are going to say, no, not really.
Right.
But I will tell you, the more that you press that issue, the better and the more relational the conversation becomes. Let's be honest with people. They're about to move, which means that they're changing the direction that they go to work. They're changing the places that they go to eat. They're changing the city or the zip code. They're changing their address. They're changing, they're changing everything about their life that they used to know. Guaranteed, Margot, that there's a need that they have. Now, they don't know about it, but again, much the same way that we would like to be the consultant, we probably have some thoughts and ideas about what they need that they don't yet.
Nice.
So my opinion on it would be I would create a 5 or 6 bullet point checklist that you could pick up the phone and once a week give them one little nugget. So, hey, listen, I understand you guys are looking in the zip code. Have you guys ever been to this restaurant as you're out looking at homes? If you haven't, you should check it out. And then I would send them a $10 gift card or whatever it would, doesn't matter. But then I would also connect with some other local businesses and do that. The other part would be I would get into, I don't know, I mean, help me out with some of these things. What do you think you could share with people, maybe where the local library is if they have kids, or maybe where the nearest police department is, or where City Hall is, or, what services would they possibly be looking for when they're ready? Are you going to, I've got a great carpet cleaner if you're looking to have one, when you guys buy a house. Let me put you in touch with somebody good. Whatever the conversation is, Margot, all you're looking for is that, hey, thank you, Margot, for thinking of me. Hey, Margot, thanks for helping. Oh, that's awesome. I never even thought of that. See, what you're doing is you're trying to position the conversation. You're trying to position the conversation to where you're making a deposit, a meaningful deposit in their life, because what's going to happen when you do that? What's the first statement out of their mind?
Thank you. Now what can I do for you?
No, then their statement's going to be, oh, God, yeah, thank you. I didn't even think of that. Hey, thanks for thinking of that for me. And your statement is, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. We work really, really hard to make sure that our clients are ultra prepared for this. We understand that when you move, it's more than just changing an address and moving boxes. You're changing your zip code, you're relocating your family. I mean, there's thousands of things that go on in a move that you may or may not be prepared for. I just want to let you know that when it comes time, here are the things that I have available, but here's the biggest thing. Remember in the beginning when I told you that my business is 100% relationship-based? I really did mean that. And so my value here is more than just taking you through the home buying process. My goal ultimately is to make sure that you go back to that person who referred you and say thank you if I've earned that right. And I really want you to not keep me a secret. The next time you hear somebody talking about a mortgage, can you just promise me that you'll bring my name up to them and recommend me with, as an advocate of your mortgage?
Nice. Yeah.
Now, if you have a call every week and it goes around something very similar to where it ends with the reminder, at some point, don't you feel like that client is going to get it, and then to at least appease you, they're going to endorse you and refer you?
Oh, yes. In fact, what is your opinion on, because when I word it, I put it more like, can I count on you, or who did you run into this week? I don't give them a yes or a no. What's his name? One of those coach guys said that. Don't give them a way to say yes or no. Give them a way to give you a name. So it's, Doug, who did you run into this week that I could perform, the same time of great service that you're getting, now? Who did you run into this week that I could call? And then they're sitting, but it does put them in more of a situation where they're thinking versus just kind of dropping a little reminder. So what's your opinion on that, where you're putting them on the grill, so to speak? You know what I mean? Because it's a little more confrontational. It's a little more.
Right. I'm a fan of not hard selling. Like, it doesn't ever fit my personality. So the most aggressive that I ever got only came once my client was engaged in the transaction with me. When they're just pre-qualified or pre-approved buyers, I wouldn't really kind of put them into a box, so to speak.
Okay. Because you're still building the relationship at that point.
Bingo. I never really count. I would always say, don't keep me a secret. Can I count on you? Can you promise me that you'll do this? Remember, this is how my business is built, kind of conversations. And it becomes very easy based on how your relationship unfolds with the borrower. Now, once they got into the process, this is the most aggressive I've ever gotten. And even then, I wasn't even 100% comfortable with it. But this is what I used to try to do, and I wasn't very effective at it because it didn't gel with me. But it would always, you have to forgive me because I still laugh at it, because I think it's like it's the most guerrilla warfare style pressure sale I think I've ever tried. And that was, I would call them up and I would say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Martoya, how you doing today? Good. Hey, listen, you know what? I'm just touching base with you, see how things are going. Oh, things are great, blah, blah, blah. She goes, Can I be honest with you, Rob, real quick? And he's like, yeah, sure. He goes, I feel like maybe we've done something. I feel like maybe we've done something to jeopardize our relationship. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
And I said, well, to be honest, I look back at my business and my team and I focus really, really hard on making sure that we deliver the best experience and do our best to make everybody an advocate of our business through the process. And typically by now, our clients have referred us somebody, and when they don't, we usually think that maybe we've done something to prevent you from wanting to endorse us to somebody. And sometimes it would be, you'd almost make them feel bad, and
that's what I was
like,
say.
oh my God!
I know what you mean about it, but it would be fun to try it and see what kind of a response I would get.
with the right people, and I think if you have somebody that's kind of a strong-willed person, I think they can handle that. Because the one thing you don't want to do is make them feel like, you're feeling disappointed in them, which is not the point.
Where they threaten your call. You want them to take the call.
Yeah. Right. But I think to kind of go around that, who have you talked to this week? Maybe the ask is a little bit more. Maybe the ask is a little bit more specific about what you're looking for. You know what, Margot? What I'm looking for this week, to be honest, is with the way that the market is. Man, FHAs right now are really, really strong. The mortgage you're buying. Man, this product right now is the best for first-time home buyers, and where interest rates are at, it's unbelievable. You know what? I'm looking for another person that might be thinking about buying a home, just like you guys. Do you guys have a friend that you guys have mentioned to that you're buying a home that might be considering, looking at, doing the same?
Yep.
I think there's a variety of different ways. Ways to bring it up, but I think what your first goal should be isn't so much how you say it. It should be the fact that you say it.
Right.
I think your goal should be on every file From the moment you start the application process until the time that they close, you should have in their folder or in Jungo or in whatever, you should have a tally system that says how many times did I ask this borrower for a referral and or not to keep me a secret or to count on them for a referral. I mean, you need to make note of that. And in my personal opinion, I think if you set the stage up in the beginning and have at least 4 conversations that end in, please don't keep me a secret.
Yep. Remember how I work.
You see some really good results.
Perfect.
But the 4 conversations that you have were spread out over the initial consultation until closing. So to kind of give you a quick little overview was I only talked to my clients 5 times through the entire process. From the moment I talked to them on the phone until closing.
And it was just the once a week reaching out, and that's what.
No, it was the initial phone call.
Yep.
At the time they came in for the application, I would step in and say hi. The appraisal, the approval, and the closing, or the clear to close. Think about that for a second, Margot. Ask yourself, at what other stages through the process do you think you are the most needed, both in being the hero or being the savior? Which other points through the process do you feel like your involvement needs to be there? I haven't been.
And it isn't none unless something came up that was an issue, you know.
But honestly, Margot, what else could possibly come up that you would need to get involved in? The approval, would either be a suspense or denial.
Like that.
No, but the inspection, no, your team can handle that. Why can't your team handle that?
Well, yeah, but they don't. Well, maybe with Wildman, he'd step in and restructure the loan, and the septic's bad. We need to get an escrow, or that kind of stuff. But
well, let's be honest with that. Those consultations you should be having with your team first, and I can recommend that if those inspection issues come up, your team should be capable of handling that stuff. You don't need to be involved in it. Restructuring the loan you do with your team. You don't need to restructure the loan with the borrower if you know what the borrower.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. That would be a team thing.
If you know what the borrower's goals, wants, and needs are, you can easily say, well, this is what I know that the borrower wants. I would circle back to the borrower, Mrs. Assistant, and find out exactly if we should restructure the loan this way, what would be the best. Now, I'm not saying you don't have other conversations with your clients.
Right.
What I'm saying is if your target should be those 5 points, you can generally assume that a large percentage of your data, a large percentage of your pipeline will only need you involved in it 5 times.
Oh, man, won't that be nice?
The rest of it, you should be building your systems around you not being there and you being available to your team, but making them responsible to handle all the other details.
And not do it myself. All right, good.
Because here's why. If you can look at your pipeline and go, I have to talk to my clients 5 times through the process, and each one of those times is my opportunity to leverage them for a referral or a relationship, that's 5 communications, 5 statements of my business is built and I count on you for these things. It gives you the time to leverage the relationship. Your team provides them with the level of service, and it gives you the freedom to go out there and drive in more business. Anything else that you do is a waste of your time.
So at what point did you make the change? Because what you're describing is Doug at the top of his game. So when you were in my position where you've got 4 or 5 loans a month, you're transitioning into a setup like Wildman, and that is going to be 10 to 15 within a period of months where I cannot be I'm focusing on what I should be, but yet I still have to have time to do pre-quals and mortgage coach presentations and, I mean, all the stuff that goes along with that period between pre-qual and we found a place and you're in a transaction. there's all that, you know, can you show us what the payment would be on this, and well, what about, would I qualify for this, and I've looked at this house, can I go that high, and all those types of things that happen. So what
that's why you always, that's why having an assistant past 5 loans a month is necessary.
Okay. So seriously think about getting that, because that's what I'm seeing now is, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 loans closed, 3 loans closed now, 4 tomorrow, and it's the amount of paperwork that I'm going to have after that. Okay, all the thank you letters, all the, you know, I have this whole system of stuff that's done at closing, and then it's
those are things that you have to either hire an
it's all
assistant
assistant
for.
stuff, but no assistant here, so I got to do it myself. But
that gets back to the point of why we're having this conversation.
Good.
That minutia that you're doing, which is all value added, you have to do right now because there's nobody else. But unless you're focusing on consistently generating new business, either through new referral sources or through your current pipeline by leveraging them for relationships and referrals, you're going to constantly have those ebbs and flows. The transition to Lake State should be the last step in getting you away from having to do what you put on that time audit.
Nice.
If that indeed happens, then your busyness level is going to be predicated based on how many files you're bringing in and how well you want to service them during and after the process. I'm saying servicing. I'm not talking about, and that means managing their fears and expectations. I'm not talking about getting them to closing. You're no longer concerned with getting your files to closing. That is not your #1 priority. That's Kevin Wild's responsibility. You are no longer concerned with that at all. When you wake up in the morning, you should have that assumptive close in your head that I turned in a perfect file, and I'm going to assume, unless they prove me otherwise, that this file will close on time. And your entire mindset and capacity should be, how do I get more business in the door? And looking at the pillars that you've established by either your realtors, your past clients, your current clients, and your affiliated partners, you look at those 4 things and you spend your day trying to figure out how you can get business out of that.
Nice, because I can see if I had 10 or 15 going, the quote-unquote minutia would replace all the stuff that I've wiped off my plate now. So I can see, I mean, it's not that point now, but if I had 15 files in the pipeline and they were closing in 1 month, that's a lot of work to do with the way it's set up now. So,
but even still, those questions regarding what do I qualify for, how much, all that stuff you can give to an assistant.
Right.
Have them run numbers. But even then, the people that call you up and ask you to run numbers, that's just part of our job.
Right. That's where I use that to build and talk to them about the house and make that, you know, because that's what I welcome. I always tell people, hey, if you're looking at a house, I don't want to pull taxes on every single property you look at. But if you look at one and you really like it, you call me. I'll look up the taxes. I'll make sure that if they're non-homesteaded, what the true payment will be. If they're not home, you know, if it's way low, you know how you can calculate and say, yeah, your taxes are $200.
Margo?
Yes?
What you just got done telling me was you have a system in your head about how you can run payment scenarios for clients? Why is that not in a spreadsheet? Why are those equations not in a spreadsheet and a checklist in there? Homestead, non-homestead, taxes, annually, winter, summer. Oh, it is?
It is. It all is.
You could literally, you could hire somebody, bring them on board, and give them a listing ticket and say, can you please ensure that the payment quote that you're going to give them is as accurate as you can based on this checklist?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Ultimately, yeah. Once somebody's trained to do that, because, you know, my other assistants used to be able to do that. You know, Beth did, because she understood homestead, non-homestead, and
so you need 5 loans a month or 15 active files in your pipeline at all times in order to hire an assistant. So that means that you should have at least 15 to 20 pre-qualified borrowers out there looking and 5 projected closings for the month at all times. Okay. That's your #1 priority moving forward.
So that's my goal. Okay, so I thought I had to have closed 10 a month. So
no.
Okay, so 5 closings a month.
You need to have 10 closing a month if you have an assistant.
Okay, so just with me, 5 closings a month, and so step 1 is 5 and 15. 15 in shopping. And then however other many are just the, you know, I'm working on seeing what those ratios are. And so
for
then
every
if
person
I'm
you
looking at
have
getting
on,
an assistant, it
for every person you
doubles.
bring onto the team, you should be adding 5 loans to your pipeline.
Okay.
Which means if you're closing, I'm sorry, not 5 loans, but you should be closing 5 more loans a month.
Yeah, so I should go to 10. So if I had an assistant working and helping, doing everything, then
you should have,
it's
you should have
closing
25
10
to
a month
30.
and have 30 out shopping.
Bingo. So think about that really think about that statement as it relates to your production. That means that you have to be bringing in 30, well, you got, let's say, 30 pre-qualified buyers out looking. That means that you have to have 90 leads. That means that it'll take you 90 days to be generating enough lead activity to have 30 active buyers in your pipeline. So that means that actively you're looking at 30 to 40, probably 30 leads a month consistently, with 10 of those being pre-quals and having 90 days to ramp up or so. That's the target. That's where you're hitting your sweet spot, so that if you know that every month when you generate 30 leads, you know that 10 of them are going to buy. They may not buy this month, they may not buy next month, but they'll buy, you know, at some point in the near future.
Yes. Yep.
So if you're not generating enough lead activity with an assistant, I can guarantee you that you're doing things that you shouldn't be, or you're not committed. And I know you're not the one that would be uncommitted. It's just that you would be doing other things that would be stopping you from doing those lead generation activities. Margot, and here's where the biggest challenge is going to come for you, is that as Wildman takes over and you start closing your volume and you don't have any problems with your volume closing, guess what? You're only going to have one thing to answer to yourself for.
I know. I already feel that pressure. That's why I'm so glad that this call is kind of a one-on-one, because I feel it right now. I wake up in the middle of the night. What can I do? Should I go buy leads? You know, it's that desperation that I feel. I've got to have more.
You don't. Yeah, but you don't. Please don't get. You're not. This is not desperation. This is. You're simply now, instead of going out and eating a steak every night, you're going to start eating. You're going to start eating salad 3 days a week. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be a healthier choice. So instead, listen to the conversations that we've had. Think about your business and what we've talked about on how you like to work.
Right.
Really peel away the layers, and now that we've gotten rid of all the other bullshit, Margot, there's only one person that is in your way, and that's yourself.
Me. Correct.
So now that we've practiced what the lead tracker does and what it means, and we've talked about generating current client referrals and how to articulate our value to people, Margot, there's nothing that should be stopping you from picking up the telephone and making those connections to either past clients, your current clients, new realtors, and your existing realtors.
Yep. Oh, and that's what I've been doing this week. I've focused on it every day but Monday. I was still a little under the weather, but yesterday, today was my clients, and I love that, you know, calling the people that are out shopping and that are in transactions, and I hit the realtors on both sides, and so I like that. And I'm making appointments with realtors to get together as a producer who we've talked about getting together, and we finally said, okay, that's it. We're not waiting until next week. Let's book it today. So we're meeting next Tuesday at 11 o'clock and going to outline, because he says, I want to work with you. I want to figure out a way that I can refer you. What can I say? How can I do this? And, you know.
So, Margot, here's why the lead tracker now is so powerful. You can look back at your lead tracker and see who you should be talking to. See, here's what worked really well is if you have several months of data, you can look at your month that you're working in and call those people. You can go back to the previous month, call those people. You can go back 2 months, call those people. You can call the agents that you see referring you the most. You can call those agents that you know you've closed the most transactions. You know precisely where you should be spending your time. If you're feeling the pressure, Instead of thinking about the pressure, your automatic statement should be, I need to go to my lead tracker. And every piece of data you need to figure out how to approach your day to get new business is sitting in your lead tracker. From there, it's just about being Margot. It's just about being yourself. It's about being who you are to people. I talked to another LO yesterday, and she's like, I don't know if I can go and have conversations with people about mortgages because I haven't been doing it that long. I said, her name is Kat. I said, Kat, let me tell you something. If you're going out and having conversations with people about mortgages, you're never going to get business from them.
Right.
So, Margot, you're an amazing individual. You have a great personality. You're very energetic. You have great karma. You have a great energy about you. You need to stop sitting in your office. You need to stop sitting behind a computer. You need to stop checking your emails. You need to be out of the office. You need to be engaged in belly-to-belly, face-to-face interactions and doing what you know you're really good at, which is interacting with people. The more you sit in the office, the more you're going to want to fall back into your old habits. The truth is, Margot, you're going to be sitting around an office with nothing to do. And if all you're doing is picking up the phone, you're not doing what you need to be doing.
Right. I find stuff for me to do like, oh, I think I'm going to download this software program. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my computer. Why does it keep jamming in the middle of the day? Well, and I do that, and I can justify it by, and so please hold me accountable for that, because I can justify in my mind, how am I supposed to record all these phone calls? I can't get my computer to come up right. I handwrite it all down. Then I got to go home at night and post it all in there, blah, blah, blah. And so it's one of those things where I can easily justify it. Okay, it's only a couple hours. I'm going to shut it down, wipe it off, it's the same shit, different day. And so but at the same time, then at the end of the day, I know, because I look at myself in the mirror and say, you didn't give it 100%. You copped out and went to your little cuddle blanket, which is fixing things, and so and that's what I want to try to get over, that hump of where that's all I want to do is just be out floating around and not be tied to this freaking computer.
Here's what this ends up doing. This ends up telling you whether you're a producer or not. This ends up telling you if you really are capable of doing what you say you want to do.
Nice.
There's a quote out there that said something to the effect of, it's hard losing weight, it's hard being fat, choose your heart. It's hard being a producer.
That's true.
Oh, it's hard being a producer. It's hard regretting that you're not a producer. Choose your heart.
So pick which one you want to be.
And the truth is, Margot,
I'd rather be the hard one that tries than the hard one that doesn't. You know what I mean? That's a little kind of hard.
Everybody says that. The difference is that there's few that can do it. And so we've put you in a position, and you have too, that you now have to only answer one question.
Why not?
Are you really who you say you are? And here's the best part about it. It doesn't matter if you are or you aren't. I just want you to be happy. You may spend the next 2 months and realize, you know what, Doug? I don't really want to close more than 5 loans a month. I'm okay with that. I want to work 20 hours a week because I found more enjoyment doing this, or I'm more passionate about this, or I get more excitement and fulfillment from participating in this. And if it does, it does. I don't really need the money. That's fine for me. But the more you tell me that you want to do 10 loans a month and you fall short as this new setup works out, Margot, you're only going to be lying to yourself.
So is 10 loans a big amount? I mean, I know it's a big amount, but is it that hard to do? I mean,
let me ask you this question. How many months have you had 30 leads in? How many months have you generated 30 leads?
I'd have to open up my tracker.
Okay.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So look at it. I love systems, so I like that. So it's basically the leads, not the closings. It's the leads.
Margaret, we started this entire relationship based on it's a conversion percentage. It isn't about closed loans. You shouldn't be excited about closed loans anymore. You should be excited about leads, because leads eventually turn into closed loans, but you shouldn't care about closed loans. You should be caring more about how many leads you get in. If you're not getting 30 leads a month in, you're never going to close 10 units a month.
I need.
So here's the point. Look back at your lead tracker and ask yourself, how many months did I generate 10 leads a month?
Mm-hmm.
And you probably say, I generate 10 leads a month every single month. And you're probably right. How many months have I generated 15 leads, 20 leads, 25? And then when you start looking at where your sweet spot is, you'll know what's easy. You know what you can do just by rolling out of bed in the morning.
Ah, all right.
Now, to answer your question, how hard is it to do 10 loans a month? All depends on how effective you are going out there and generating 30 leads a month. I will tell you that for me to generate 30 leads a month, I roll out of bed and I generate 30 leads a month. But that came with a lot of years of hard work and repetitive conversations and leveraging relationships and putting myself in positions to be that hero and to make sacrifice. I did all that. But at some point, you roll out of bed and you have 30 leads coming in every month just because that's what you've built. But right now, you haven't built. You've built a business that generates 2 to 3 closings a month.
And to be honest, I believe my strength is more in my database of clients, past clients, than it is in realtors. You know what I mean? If I were to say, I mean, I get leads from realtors because I call them and badger them for them. And then I've got some that I've got a relationship with where you know, we look for reasons to work together. And if I refer somebody, I refer her, and, you know, that kind of thing. We want to do stuff together and that kind of thing. So, so my goal is to build more of those types of relationships. But right now, the majority of the time, if I said I had to dig up 30 leads, I would call all my clients, all my past clients.
So
and
then
that's where
you should be calling 5 to 10 of your past clients every week, if not more, to help you generate.
I mean, 5 a day is a minimal amount.
All right, so let's just use that. 10 clients a day. But even then, I mean, that's a lot of people to talk to. 5 clients a day, having meaningful conversations with, and having it to be where there's a purpose and a reason. You're not calling them to sell them. You're not calling them to offer them a mortgage. You're just calling them to connect with them, and you'll be amazed at how many of those conversations lead into refinance opportunities, but you don't want to be the one that brings it up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if you're looking at that pressure, your first statement is, I know what my relief valve is. I'm going into my database. I'm going to my database. I'm going back to my lead tracker for the last 90 days. Those are the 2 places that if you're feeling the pressure and you don't have enough leads, go back to those 2 sources and do what you normally would do. Margo, you're done. Your 2 pillars of past clients and lead tracker client, I mean, they're there. It's there. And then you can focus on your realtors. Then you can focus on your affiliated partners. And then you can focus on what other areas you want to be in. But to go back and look at where your sweet spot is, take the number of leads that you've gotten every single month that's consistent. Like every month, you know you get 10 leads a month in. But you don't really do 15 leads a month consistently. I go back and I'm doing 10 leads a month. You're probably consistently closing 3 loans a month. On average, that's your sweet spot. That you can count on every month. So you need to generate a way of pulling in 20 extra leads a month in, which means that you have to be one thing and one thing only, consistent. That means consistently running your business with the mindset that you've got to generate 20 extra leads because 10 of them are guaranteed just because that's who you are. That means that you have to plug and play what you normally would be doing when it was all you, filling up that time with doing lead tracker activities, realtor relationship activities, current client relationship activities, past client relationship activities. Those 5 pillars right there, if you spent every day touching on them for an hour and a half a day, Margo, you're not going to have a problem. But then you just have to be consistent with it. And when you do it consistently and you get 30 leads a month in for 2 months in a row, you have better had a couple resumes on your plate for an assistant. Otherwise, you're just going to get buried. Was this helping?
Yes, it's tremendous. I'm counting up my leads now that I had for March. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 for March.
Okay.
Total.
And how many for February?
14.
And how many for January?
15. But some of the
How
ones
many-
in January were ones that I had left over from December that I knew were going to be buying, and different
How many
things
in
like
December?
that. So.
How many in December?
None. I just started using this because I just got into lead tracker coaching in January, so I went back in and filled it in from January of this year.
All right.
So.
Let's say your sweet spot's going to be 10, because I think that if you really looked at it, I think it might be 10. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it's higher than that. But 10 leads a month equals 3 closings, which on average, that's probably a pretty safe bet. That's your baseline moving forward.
Yep.
So you should wake up every day knowing that you don't really have to get 30 leads. You only really have to get 20, because you should be able to count on getting 10 leads a month just because of who you are.
All right.
Because you really haven't done any real marketing activities to generate leads actively. You haven't done any.
Yeah, well, I have, but it's been sporadic, where...
Not consistently. Not consistently.
No, exactly, and that's what it is it's for 3 weeks in a row, that's all I'm doing. I'm calling, I'm touching base, I'm sending out mailers, following up on mailers, because there's nothing going on, so that's what I'm doing, and then whoop, the pipeline fills up and nothing happens and no calls, and the only realtors you talk to are the ones that you're in transactions with because you're putting out fires, blah, blah, blah.
Because you emotionally shut it down. You
Yeah.
shut it down emotionally, and when you stop asking for it, and I believe that when you ask the universe for things, it comes to you.
Right.
And I believe that when your pipeline's full, you shut it off, and it shuts off.
Yeah.
Denise has that happen all the time. I had it happen in my business all the time. The point is that you should not be shutting it off until you hit 30 leads.
And then
so now,
let it shut off.
Now moving forward, starting April, your target is 30 leads. And so to answer that question in a very long and drawn out way, you'll know at the end of this month how hard closing 10 loans a month is, because you'll know how hard it is to generate 30 leads. Or how easy it is. Just depends.
Or how hard or easy it's going to be, yeah.
Bingo.
Nice.
That's it. That's my soapbox for today. So I recorded it. I'll send you, I'm going to post the replay onto the Facebook page.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be good, and then that way I can watch it again or listen to it again and